If anybody's seen my video yesterday of me trying to do the 22 contest, I ran into a problem which a lot of people have. There's a lot of discussion on it. It's called Rimlock. It's when two of the cartridges are in the magazine and one gets the rim behind the one below it and the gun jams. It's a common failure. A lot of people go through extents with different stripper clips, unloading the stripper clips so that all the rims are in front of the one on the bottom, and a guy even did a drawing and explained it and how you load the clips. And basically Gun Geek brought up the point that it doesn't matter how you load the clips or load the gun is designed with something called an interrupter mechanism. If it is functioning correctly, no matter which way you load the cartridges in, even if the rims get behind the ones underneath, if your interrupter mechanism is functioning, you should not get rim lock at all. Now, I got the gun here disassembled that I had the problems with, and I just grabbed another gun and was just fooling around with it, and I could not get it to lock up or jam, no matter how I stuck them cartridges in. So what we're going to do is look at this problem and look at it correctly, okay? And I'm going to show you the parts. I'm going to take the two pieces off in question, and I'm going to show you detailed how they function in your gun. Okay, so I'm going to get in here close. I'm going to remove the spring and the interrupter spring. There's three pieces. It's like a flat spring, a little wedge that goes in a receiver, and a screw to hold it all in. So I'm going to get the camera set up. We can look at it, and I'm going to pull these pieces out. Okay, here's a look at our interrupter mechanism. This here part is the spring. You see this little tail that goes down here? I'll explain this later. Spring, screw that holds it in, and then there's a little tab, and then this, it's a plate or bar, which is that right there inside your rifle. You should be able to move that with your fingers. It should move freely. Now we're going to take the pieces out here. Get a screwdriver. I have taken these out of each and every single gun and cleaned all of this. Cleaned the cosmoline and the gunk out. Now this is a flat piece of flat spring steel, dovetailed in on a little end lined up to that screw hole there. See the screw hole here? And this flat piece of, now you got to kind of bend it backwards to slip this out. Lift up on it. They do go in there tough. You see, you have to get this up off the tab to get this out of the slot. This one's in there pretty tight. So let me go. I'm going to try to tap that out, and I'll get back to you on this. Alright, what I had to do to get it started, I took this punch and just gently tapped it out. Now you're going to come to a point where that notch, just so you got to be careful, that the little tab is in a notch. So you lift that spring up and over it so it disengages down here in that notch there. So the spring's free. And now we just give it a few more taps. Out it comes. Okay. See the notch in it? Get that up to where you can see. There's a notch in there. That's your hole for the screw that goes over this little tab. And then the plate comes out like this. Remember the orientation of the plate. Okay, this fancy thing, you know, or this shape here goes to the back. Goes in like that. Now, these are your two pieces. This is what sits in the receiver, and my finger's like the cartridge. The cartridge goes up against this. This spring does two things. A, holds that into the receiver, and B, this bottom part extends down, I'll show this to you, into a notch. And it's spring loaded, and that holds a cartridge down. You got a cartridge in there. I don't know if you see that. This thing fits into this part of your trigger guard. And if you have a cartridge in there, how it works when it is in place is that holds, can't see it with my thumb, that holds like this, the cartridge down. And the whole idea is so the rim is below the cartridge above it, or in a position where, you know, the cartridge above it in there, like this, can, now you can't see. I'll do this assembly, but what that does is hold that cartridge down in there, so this one can rise up and pass over. That's the whole idea behind it. So you take it out, clean it, clean the slot, which I did. This is all cleaned and lubricated, so this is all in good shape. Now the only thing is, when you're taking this in and out, this is a piece of flat steel, or spring steel. And to strengthen it, you'd have to bend it a little, you know. And you do kind of got to bend it backwards to slide it in. So be careful when handling this, or if you're uncomfortable taking something like this out, spray clean and clean it and clean all the stuff out. You know, spray, get a gun scrub or something, spray it all out and get it cleaned. Now to get it all back together, you just put that little piece back like this into the receiver. And you got, and like I said, it's a dovetail. There's an angle cut on this. You know, there's an angle cut like this, and there's an angle cut in that slot, and it slides and locks in there. Okay, so you have to slide this thing in to its position. Be gentle with it. You may have to see if you push down on it, it gives a little. It'll slide in. So I just push down on this here, and then will pressure back here. And it's starting to slide closer to where it's going to line up to its hole. It's not the easiest thing in the world to get in and out, but I've done this a few times, so I'm good at it. I may have to tap it in. We'll take a break here for a second. Okay, I turned the camera off for a second, and basically it was pressure here on the tab, push it, and it slid, dropped right in where that little tab is in this slot here. And then you have to line up the hole. You might have to push it back a little. But you want to line up the hole for the screw as close as you can. You don't, because if you don't line it up right, it'll strip the threads out on this thing. And once that's lined up, they're very tiny parts. So make sure you're in an area, if you drop them, because I dropped this screw, to where you can find it easily. Carpeting, and don't be doing this outdoors on a bench, or if that screw hits the floor, you'll never see it in a million years. I don't think I'm lined up right. Let me adjust that. Get that. Alright, you may have to gently tap that on one end or the other to line it up, but then you get the screw back in here, and you set your screw down and tighten it up. It's locked in there. Now you're all set. if you want to, because like I had to press down, you can try to bend that a little. I don't know, we'll see how it works. See, this is probably what he's talking about, and I'll show you. I'm going to put the gun together and show you how this operates. What happens is when the bolts lock, there's tension on the spring, and it keeps it in a tense position, or, you know, stretched out, and over time it gets weakened, and that's probably what causes the malfunction. It's this flat spring here, and you don't want to hit this with a hammer. This is hardened. What you'd want to do is you'd probably want to bend it, this area here, with just a pair of pliers or something, or get it out of there and bend it just a hair. Don't force it, because it'll snap like a piece of glass. You'd want to probably put a bend in there to get your strength back, or replace it with a new part. So let me get this action back together, and we'll see how these parts work together. Alright, now we have the whole gun together, and with the stock off, and we can see how these pieces function. First thing is, he mentioned that being stored with the bolts closed for periods of time. Now we all know that this is basically a spring, flat spring. So when you close the bolt here, watch this area right in here. When the bolt's closed, it pushes that flat metal plate out of the receiver against this spring. And also notice where that finger or end of the spring is in this notch in the magazine. Now when you open the bolt, it goes back and that finger goes into the magazine. Okay? And what it does is interrupts the cartridge. This is how it all functions. Now everybody says this about loading clips and had videos and everything. When you take a clip and stick it in here, you'll notice it stops where that plate is down in there. So there's a big gap down into the mag well, and no matter how you put them cartridges in, they're all gonna go one way or the other down in there. You know, the clip, it's not like a Mauser clip where that Mauser clip sits right into the magazine or Springfield. So let's load up some rounds. Now I got these all mixed up. You know, generally you have them all one way and to be pointed one way. These are all mixed up real good, so we'll get them in the gun. I have to get this thing over here. And don't want to go. I ain't too fond of these clips, by the way. Alright. Now, we got a magazine loaded. And now you can see where this finger is pushing cartridge number 2 or up against it, holding it down. And what that should do is make this cartridge kind of free floating. So when you close the bolt, alright, now I can see it. This rim is on. So if you give it a little, we'll see how we can. It kind of went down, do it again. And it gives it room to wiggle over. It kind of hung up a little last time, but it went down. When it started to jam, it pushed down, and now it works. Now if you notice, down in here, that's where you got that end of that spring holding this cartridge down in the magazine, more or less like that. So no matter which way that is, even if it's behind it, it being loose up here kind of jumps over. And if this spring doesn't have the right tension, it might not be pushing this down far enough. And how it operates is when you go and close the bolt here, watch down and through here, when you close the bolt and it pulls that back, it lets the next cartridge up, stops that one, and then when you open the bolt, it's now pushing that cartridge number 2 down. Basically, that's how the interrupter is supposed to work. And we look at the action again. We push the bolt forward, smooth feed. Do it again. Notice here. You go in, close the bolt. It lets the cartridge number 2 jump up in a position, snaps back down to hold the cartridge underneath it. Then come up, smooth feeding all the way. Okay, why this gun was jamming, I don't know, but it did jam. I have another gun. We're going to try to make it jam. It's just one of the other ones I picked out. And I sat here and fooled with it. And every now and then one will catch a little. But then if you don't really, I guess when you slam it, it'll knock everything out of order in there and then it'll get stuck. If you feel resistance, you got to kind of wiggle it and give it a lighter tap to get it over. So let me get set up with this, and then we'll try running some clips in here and see how this other gun works. Alright, now when you do the clips where all the rims would be behind the cartridge in front of it, would go this way. So I'm going to load this clip backwards. So I know that all the rims are in front of the cartridge behind it. In other words, loading it wrong. We're going to try to make the gun fail is what we're going to try to do. Or get Rimlock. Another clip. It's the one I never really did like this clip. That's another thing, these clips. I'm also breaking them out. Alright, let's see what we got. You got this down here. Push the bolt forward. Yeah, it's got a little lock on it. But see, it was locked, and I kind of just gently went back and forth and got it free. I guess if I slam that like I did, and now here we'll watch the action. You see where the interrupter is holding the cartridge down. So we go, close the bolt, next cartridge comes up. Feed it forward, and just that little, let it rock right over, and go home. That was stacked. It should have jammed. It didn't jam. And again, we go, close the bolt, pushes the little plate out, lets up the next cartridge. Next cartridge is up. That one went smooth as silk. And the next two, because I can see it down there, they're not behind each other. But that's the way it is. That's the last one. Alright. Now let me try doing this. Let me try loading this and getting the cartridge on top behind it. Deliberately. We're going to try to make it go into Rimlock. Go down there. Move that up a little. Get that rim as far back so it's behind it a little. Nope, that's 5. Okay. Now I tried to manually load it to make it jam. Let's see. First cartridge goes up, no biggie. Second cartridge goes up, no big deal. Now I know that's behind the other one. I can see it down in there. Slip right over it. So this is functioning properly. The spring tension and that So no matter which way you load these cartridges into this gun, if your mechanism, just like the gun geek said, if your mechanism is operating properly, you will not get rim lock, regardless of how your clip is loaded, whatever. I had trouble just, getting used to the clips because, let me get this one loaded. It's the one that gave us trouble. So we're going to try this one more time. Okay, this way all the cartridges would be in front, so we're going to deliberately put it in backwards. So they're all going to be, should rim lock on each one. Alright. Now this mechanism may be on. There we go. That's what I was getting. Let's see, can you just wiggle it a little? Now that one's catching. Now let's see. Now it could be that this spring ain't pushing the other cartridge down. The spring might be weak. That's what it goes if you fool with it. So that might be the culprit there in this gun, is that spring's a little weak. I may have to try to bend it or something. We did get kind of a rim lock on this. It's probably the problem. May have to bend this a little. But there you go. That answers the question on clips and rim locks. It happened to me yesterday, and like I said, I got to study the gun more and see and maybe manipulate the action, not trying to really shove it to get it to jump over. Just making a small adjustment, wiggling a little more will get it to go. And maybe bending the spring a little, get a little more pressure on there. Might be in order also. But that's my take on it.